Hi everybody and welcome to this webinar for Screenly. In today's episode, we will be doing a partner showcase with Luc from Tracx. Hi Luc.
Hiya.
Luc has been working on a company called Tracx, who's one of our partners, like I mentioned, and he's a front-end UI UX guru. And today we will do something that is really much related to front-end. We will be doing an edge app from scratch using Figma. So we will start with a blank canvas in Figma. We'll then turn that entire design into an edge app where we use settings from an edge app to populate the field. So without further ado, I will turn over to Luc if you want to do a screen share, and we can actually walk you through the entire scenario, and I will kind of comment and talk to Luc in the background while we're doing this.
Cool. Thank you for the introduction, Viktor. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. I'll share the entire screen here. So let me know. You should be able to see this, Viktor. Cool. So all I've got here is just an empty Figma file. It's not got anything on it at the moment. So this is where we're going to build a super simple edge app that's just going to essentially display some data for us. So we'll give it a name, edge app here. And we'll create some frames. So I'm going to go frame here, and I'm going to create our first color, gray. That'll do. And then we'll create another section just across here, and we'll give this another color. Maybe something a bit more interesting this time. We'll go with like a blue. Cool. I'm not happy with this. Right now, but cool. So we've got two windows here, and what we'll do is we'll get some text on this left-hand side. So always start with the obligatory. So hello world, bring it down. We're going to go super simple here. This is a Screenly edge app.
Oh yeah, you're being fancy here even. Very cool.
So I think that this is pretty self-explanatory. We've got a basic set of data being pulled through, and we'll make sure that in the edge app this all gets pulled through and is displaying the accurate data. This is just a super simple example for now, but it should do a good job of getting the general idea across. Hello world's not too good for a title, but we'll leave it like that for now. And then over here, what we'll do is pull through, I think, some Tracx branding and some Screenly branding.
That's perfectly fine by me.
Let's get some Screenly branding in here as well. I think maybe you can send me some Screenly branding.
Yeah, I could do either.
Cool. And I'm going to flip these colors. Oh, that hasn't saved. Cool.
We might be able to pull the logo from the website. If not, just look for our branding kit here.
Let's bring through this one. So I think that this is going to be okay for now. Hello world,
Yeah.
this is the edge app.
So walk me through this. So walk me through this. Look, so the idea is this is. So walk me through this. Look, so this idea. This is obviously Figma is obviously a design tool. This is basically a mock of this, and the idea is that we'll populate the text values both from dynamic variables in Screenly or in edge apps rather, and some of them as settings. So we can override everything is here as settings, so you don't have to modify the actual web page to populate any of these data.
Yeah, exactly that. So we don't actually have to adapt the web page in any way. We just build it once and we pull through the data using edge app.
Metadata, yeah. Amazing. Cool. I think that communicates the concept very well.
Yeah, I think so. This is simple enough. And again, because Figma is a great place to start with something like this because it gives you a really great visual idea of what you're building. And of course, with edge apps being primarily a display medium, I think that Figma is always a really great place to start. And especially when you've got more complexity to the design, the export tools in Figma start coming in really handy, especially when you're building an edge app. So it's just a great place to start with something like this. That said, you know, if you're wild enough, you could design straight from the edge app itself. Okay.
All right, cool. So we have a design. We're hopping over to VS Code, it looks like, to actually implement this now then. The Screenly CLI is available on GitHub. It's open source. You can find it on github.com/screenly/CLI, and you can find it for Windows, macOS, and Linux there. If you're using Homebrew on macOS, you can use the tap, which is what Luc has done on his installation here. But once you have this installed, we first need to install, first you actually need to log in. But I know Luc has already done this, but to do a login, you do Screenly login. But we can skip that step here and move forward into actually creating our first edge app. So to do that, we do the Screenly command, and then we do edge-app, and then we can do /help or --help to bring up the help function so we can get the syntax right. Right, so what the command we want to use to create an edge app is to create command. So if we do Screenly edge app and then create, and then we need to provide it a name. Yeah, exactly. So we need to provide it a name. Name, and we call this Figma maybe, or whatever you want to call it, or demo, whatever you want to call it, Luc.
Yeah, demo is fine.
Perfect. All right, if you hit enter there, we now instantiate a new edge app. And this takes a few seconds because it needs to make a few calls to our backend. And as you can see, a few field files appeared here. We have the Screenly YAML file, which is the actual configuration for the edge app, and we're going to touch a bit on that more in detail later because we've got to actually use some of these settings in the edge app. We also get a index.html file, and this gives you some helper functions on how to use the actual CLI. So Luc, if you want to pop down to the shell again and do edge app run, we can just show you what we get for free, and then we can move from there.
Oh, we need to generate the mock data.
Create.
Of course.
That's right. That's right.
Can't forget to generate the mock data.
And that will. Yeah, so that creates another file on disk. You can see a file called the mock.data.yaml popped up here, which has some placeholders that are handy when you want to try to play with various settings. So now we've generated the mock data. Let's just pop open the edge app run command and see what happened. So now you can see you have a URL there. If we point our browse at URL, we can see how the edge app looks out of the box. Right, so perhaps not the most pretty website, but as you can see here, we have some interesting information. We have the screen information. This is derived from the mock data file, but on the real device, it will be derived from the actual settings on the device. But this gives you an end-to-end experience of how this works. So I guess, Luc, now let's take this data and bring the Figma file in here and start populating this with some useful information, and bring with the end goal of being that it should look like it did in Figma, but with real data. So actually creating a real edge app.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go across to index here to begin with. We've got a super simple setup, and you can see that we're pulling through some CSS from the Screenly playground, which is fine for now. We'll quickly create our own CSS file just for the simplicity of this, but the correct me if I'm wrong, Viktor, but Screenly provide a pretty comprehensive set of CSS tools for edge apps.
That's right. So the idea is basically we have a Bootstrap theme that we have created to be designed for signage use cases. So we use this for all our playground apps, or I think most of our playground apps at least. And the idea being that we can create a good default. And that's essentially why we use it in this example file here. But obviously, that has all the Screenly branding, and in our use case here, we don't want to use the Screenly branding, but rather we want to use the styling of this particular file we designed in Figma.
Amazing. So if I uncomment that, you can see that this goes even more basic than it was before, because we've removed some of the CSS. So what we're going to do is split this. If I refer back to my Figma, I'm just going to move this over here so that we can super quick jump between them. So in here we've got two separate sections, and we've got a blue. So let's just get this color code, 3390FD, perfect. And I'm just going to create a simple style here. Blue background, like that. And then we're going to do gray background. And really you can do this however you want. You can, CSS is always one of these contentious things where everyone's got different ways of doing things. I like to utilize sort of a tailwind style of writing. So that's what I'm going to do here, but you're really free to do anything you want. So on the container, I'm going to retain that, and I'm just going to do the gray background here. And then I'm also going to just delete most of this. Actually, no, I'll comment it out for now, and I'll keep it below so we can refer to it later. And I think we could actually steal some of these IDs that are already here. So luckily, because when we set up an Edge app, it includes this script down here. This makes taking things super easy. So we can actually just sort of copy this and use it to bring that data through into our design. So I'm just going to create a new div in here, two new divs actually, and I'm going to give this one, which is on the left, the blue background, and this one doesn't need a background because we've got grey on here, so we'll leave that for now. And then I also think we want to give each of these a class, because as we can see, it's only 50% of the screen width, so that's what we'll do.
Right.
So we'll give these a class of column, and then we shall make the container grid. So we already have them inside of this container, so let's make this a grid. Actually, no. Let's do flex. Cool. And then align items stretch, which is going to make them fill the full height. And then we also want to add some padding in here. So for now, I'm just going to add 4 rem, might be too much. And then that will give us a bit better container. And then for the height, we'll do 100 view height. And for the width, we'll do 100%. Cool. So if we go back to Safari and give this a refresh, everything's a bit hidden at the moment, and I wonder why. Oh, how have I gone back to you? Container, grey, blue. Everything seems happy. Column. Blue background. It's because we haven't created our column classes, sorry. So, back in here, we'll create a column class. We'll give these a width of 100% as well, and a height of 100%. So what we should be left with now is our 2 columns. I put this in the wrong place. I'm going to move padding into the actual sections themselves. Cool. So this is looking a little bit closer to what we wanted. We've still got some artifacts and some bits to fix, but we can come back to that. So, column, blue BG. So let's add in our text. So, hello world, this is Screenly. And I'm just going to take this and copy this text straight away. We're at 28 into regular. So, I'm just going to flip this over into dev mode actually. Should make life a little bit easier for us. And you can see that when we hover things, it's going to give us exact values, which makes life super easy. And then we've got some CSS here that we can take from. I don't believe inter is a regularly available typeface. I may be wrong. I'm going to come in here and just paste in this line. And I'm going to break this into a couple of paragraphs. See, we've got GitHub Copilot doing its best. So we've got a paragraph, and then we're just going to add a header 1 here, which is for our hello world text. Let's clean this up. Cool. So that's our left column blue. Hello world, this is Screenly edge up, and it's going to look a little bit ugly because we haven't added any styling, but we've got the base in there. So, and I keep going back there. Cool. There's our left column. So in both columns, we want things to be centered, and then there is a little bit of a gap. It looks like a 57 pixel gap between hello world and the rest of the text. So what we're going to do is we're just going to group all of this text together in a div here, and then we're going to go here super quick, and we're just going to add a placeholder for the logo. We'll pull the logo out of Figma in a moment. That will do. So in our column, again, we're going to do flex, display flex, sorry, and then we're going to do line item center, and then justified content center, and then that'll just center everything up. So if I go back to our edge app, we've got things in the center. I still need to fix some of the layout. We can come back to that. So we've got everything in the center. Cool. So let's style the text.
Take shape.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our text is going to be white, so I'm just going to do a blanket white here on the font. Not that I would necessarily recommend doing this in any other way. So we're just going to add header 1 here. And if we take our header 1, we can see that we've got 71, font style normal, font weight 700. Now, I may be wrong, but I don't believe Inter is a global typeface, but we're going to find out. It's added the color there anyway. Figma's way ahead of us. Refresh. No, I didn't think it was, but that's fine. For now, we'll just do font family sans serif up here, and then that should. Oh, that's funny. Now it's getting in our way. Remove Inter. Hello world. This is a screen the edge app. It is being displayed from screen X in location X, and then at time XX. Cool. So let's get our logo. Interestingly, it's actually given us the styling for the logo as well, and the specific width and height. This is the logo Tracx 1. So let's layer export that, and we're going to export it into Screenly demo here. New folder, image, and then I'm going to just call it Tracx. Save that. So now if we go back here, you can see we've got our logo exported from Figma. We're just going to go
nice
and import that here. So we're going to do image, source, we're going to do image/Tracx. Let's give it an alt. Never forget your alts. Why not? Tracx alt, and then we're going to give it a class of logo. And then again, we're just going to steal these classes from Figma, paste those in, and give this a refresh and see what we've got. We've got the logo in there now, nicely. Let's get rid of that.
Nice.
And get rid of that, we don't need that anymore. Cool. So, let's just fix this issue, which is a new one. So we've got column, container, grey and blue. That's all fine. The container's fine. At least I believe so. Height is 100, width is 100. So there really is no. It could be that that's causing the problem. There we go. So my bad. It's because I was going to do grid initially. So here's our columns and our container and everything else, and then to get rid of any other padding that we've got, we're just going to add padding 0 here, and on HTML, just to be 100%, padding 0, and then a margin of 0 as well. Cool. So here's our edge app. Now what we need to do is get the values displayed, and then we're good to go. So luckily, we've already got some IDs down here that are preset inside of the Edge app. You can move this script into another script separate, and then sort of host it on the page, or you can adapt it however you want. I think that we're fine to leave this as is. What do you reckon, Viktor?
Yeah, I think so. Let's keep it simple. Keep it simple. So let's steal this span here. Span is the screen name, and then we're going to replace X with that span. In location X, we've got screen location here, which we'll steal. I'll just paste that and change this from screen name to screen location, and then we'll do the time in a moment, but we'll just check that this is working. It is not working. Interesting. So why would that not be working? Let's delete this. ID screen dash name. That's happy. Screen dash location. That's happy. Let's give this a refresh. Inspect. Interesting. Of course. My bad. I've completely forgotten to hide some of these others that we're not using. So let's hide those for now and then give that a refresh. There we go. So it's just being displayed from the screen code cafe display in location Silicon Valley, USA.
which is good.
Very cool.
Now,
So that was quick.
super quick. So we're pulling that data through, and then we want to get the time. Now, give me a hot minute, Viktor, whilst I steal a script.
Stack Overflow.
Actually, no, we're going to go full modern.
Fair enough.
Let's see how well we can do this. We've got to be seen to be using the latest tools.
And do you want to do it in 24-hour clock or 12-hour?
We'll do 24-hour.
Cool. All right, let's see what our robotic overlord tells us to do.
Steal the time. And I think that this is just a really great way of showing how a Screenly Edge app can be more than just displaying stuff from Screenly itself. It is still a live page, so it really shows what more you can do. So let's literally just put this straight in here. So we've got function, display time, gets that, sets it into the element Screenly-time, and then it calls the function immediately, and then it's actually going to put it inside a set interval, which is then going to update it every minute, which is really nice. Now, we could technically just make some changes to this so that it shows the seconds as well, but we'll leave it like this for now, and then we're going to replace this with a new span, and I haven't tested ChatGPT's code because this is a very simple use case. So we're going to refresh it. It's not happy. Let's find out what we need to fix. Null is not an object. Get element ID. Screenly-time. Oh! That'll be the problem. Refresh. There we go. So, and the time is 2:40. So, even with a little bit of faffing, that was super quick.
That was indeed super quick.
Yeah, especially.
And I think that this showcase really the beauty of Edge apps, right? Because the reason why I wanted to bring you on the show was because your experience when you ported the Tracx Edge app, really, it took you, well, a few hours really from never used Edge apps before to having something working on your local development environment. So it really highlights the power of ease of use for Edge apps, and that's kind of, I think this is a great use case for this. And as you see, it's even responsive, and you can use it, not fully responsive perhaps, but for most use cases, something like this is perfectly sufficient, and that's really cool. So I'm not sure if you want to publish a source code somewhere, Luke, if you put it on GitHub or something, but it's, as you see, we wrote 50 lines of code, if that, for the entire thing, and from start to finish, right?
Yeah, it really doesn't take long. I think that from my perspective, having zero experience sort of using Edge app before, the way that it's built is in such a way where if you have, like me, even just basic sort of front-end knowledge, I'm not like a super seasoned, senior developer by any means, and I was able to very quickly pick up the Edge app framework and how it's built and sort of run with it. So it's super easy. It's super fast, and like you say, it only took me a couple of hours to essentially go from absolutely nothing to a fully functional Tracx Edge app, which allows us to display QR codes that are dynamic and that pull through the edge app data, and a whole bunch of other great sort of use cases that we've spoken about, Viktor. And again, I don't think it would take more than a few hours for us to build out those other ideas that we've had. So it is super fast, it's super easy, and yeah, like I say, even someone with just front end knowledge can actually go and build an edge app. There's no complexities about it at all. It's built in a way that is super easy to pick up.
And we could simplify this demo even further if we haven't used some of the built-in features in Figma, for instance, where you can actually output more or less ready code that needs some tweaking perhaps, and obviously it would need some tweaking, but the point is that this was doing it the hard way almost, and you could even do it even easier, which is even crazier if you think of it.
Yeah, definitely. If so this is really using Figma to its full potential, then yeah, it would be ridiculously fast and easy. Pretty good.
So this has been super cool and super interesting for me to see you in real time. Really, I don't think even when we do the editing of this, I think this webinar will be very quick, and it's been real pleasure to have you on the webinar, Luc, and much appreciate you taking time out of your busy calendar. And people who want to learn more about Tracx, do you want to give a big shout out to Tracx and more about what you guys are doing in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So Tracx is the platform that myself and Tom across the pond have built. It is essentially about generating marketing and experience tools for every business. So local businesses, online businesses, essentially providing them with toolkits like SurveyMonkey and MailChimp and Linktree, but bringing all of those tools together under one umbrella is essentially what we're about. So QR codes is obviously a great use case that we're working with Screenly on, but there's so many different use cases as well. So landing pages and chat-based forms that help drive reviews, and a whole bunch of other great marketing and customer experience related tools. So yeah, feel free to come and
very cool. And where can they learn more about Tracx? Yeah, what's the website? Tracx.
Tracx.com is
Tracx.
Yeah. So you come across Tracx.com. You can sign up, create an account for free, and then generate your first landing page or form with AI. Why not?
Amazing. Good stuff. Again, thank you so much, Luc, for coming on the show. And that's a wrap. Thanks so much. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.